when Lorcana first came out. I was talking to our brother about it, and he was like, don't you ever feel like silly playing with like Disney cards? To be honest, I forget. I
Yeah.
forget all the time.
Yeah.
It just does not, it doesn't occupy the same space in my brain. Like there's no neural pathway from the Disney movies of my childhood to the card game that I am currently playing.
I feel like opening cards and like card reveals, stuff like that, I look at them more from the this is Disney side of things. As soon as I'm playing with the cards, it's what they do. It's the
Yep.
same, like you made a comment about how as soon as I have to play Donald Duck, I'm gonna be devastated because I don't like Mickey and Friends,
Right.
and and I'm like I kind of laughed, but I don't care. Like
Right.
I will play any of them. I was playing in that the sealed that we did for Whispers. And
Mm-hmm.
I told one of my opponents, I was like, oh, I really like your mat, even though I don't like Mickey Mouse. She had the Mickey Mouse mat.
Right.
I was like, I don't like Mickey Mouse, but that's like a really good mat. And and then and then my deck, I was playing 3 Mickey Mouses.
Yep.
and and she's like, I thought you didn't like Mickey Mouse. And I'm like, well, first off, this is sealed.
I
So
had no choice in this.
um, and second off, whatever. like,
Yeah.
like I'm playing
Yeah.
cards. Like,
I don't like Olaf. I hate that character. I freaking hate Olaf.
yeah,
And there is a good Olaf card that came out in Whispers, and it's like, yeah, I'll play him if I have to. I'm not gonna. And like there was like a 1/3 for 1 Olaf that existed for a while in like Ruby Amethyst decks. I would always play Minnie Mouse over him because it was functionally the same card in those two colors. But I hate that character, and I don't care. I will play it. It doesn't matter to me. Yeah, I mean it's very easy to me, and it sounds like to you, to disassociate the Disney-ified cards from the gameplay.
yeah.
So I think it's interesting to think about how Disney actually affects the cards. I think it's a good topic. So welcome to Inca Podcast Play a Podcast.
A classic turn 1 play. I'm Amy Orr.
And I'm Matthew Orr Bridges. So even though we tried to dissociate from it, Disney absolutely, like the brand absolutely informs the cards that we get.
Oh, yeah. Well, first off, I think they all have to be approved by Disney, right? And
Right.
so Disney's going to make sure that it fits their branding. Well, and I think that that's going to help it and hurt it.
Yeah.
It's going to
Well,
maybe not hurt it, but provide limitations.
Sure. I do wonder, some people will, whenever Ravensburger does something, or whenever Lorcana does something, I suppose, people are very quick to criticize the decision. And kind of going back to what we said in a previous episode, where it's just like kind of know who is responsible, like know who you're yelling at. There is a weird lack of knowledge. Okay, this isn't a pastimes problem. It's a Ravensburger issue. But then when it comes to certain things where it's like, I wonder what their licensing agreement really means, or like really details, because when you get a licensing agreement, especially an ongoing one like this, like how much creative control or oversight is Disney imposing on Ravensburger? And I think that that's something that we'll probably never know.
Right.
We'll never know like to what degree they have oversight. But with a licensing deal, like with a line of toys, if you were to get a licensing deal from Disney, I imagine you would be like, hey, I am a toy manufacturer. I would like to make this series of toys. And then Disney would, either, yes, no, here are the things that you have to follow. Here's our style book, that you have to follow. And then if you wanted to expand that line, you would go back to them with another series, or maybe you would have to get another licensing deal, whatever. With Lorcana, it's such an ongoing thing. They are constantly printing new cards, new artwork. They're commissioning different artists for different things. And I'm sure that Disney has given them like a style book to follow. But I also would imagine that that's like, hey, make sure your artists follow this style book, and that will help you get approval. That'll help expedite approval. But I also think it would be very inefficient to have to run 204, more than that, 300 new cards every quarter by someone at Disney, and they would have to go through and check every single card to make sure that it adheres to their style.
I don't know that is as big of a deal as it sounds like it would be. I would say that there's probably like a Disney liaison who basically that's their job, is approving that they match the Disney parameters. I also think that, okay, so there's this actor who I know who it is, but I don't know his name off the top of my head, who like exclusively plays villains, but it is his contract that he must be defeated because he wants to put out into the world that evil loses.
It's similar to villains are not allowed to use iPhones.
Oh, I read this yesterday.
Yeah. Apple specifically requires that villains don't use iPhones. And even so far as like
I think it's Apple devices.
It's Apple devices, but it's also not even just villains. It is characters doing negative things cannot have Apple devices. And so there was like a story of someone who was like an editor, and she was editing the movie or the TV show or something, and she's like, "Hey, you have a scene of this girl texting about suicide, and you have already established that she has an iPhone, and that is not going to fly with Apple."
Wow.
And it's like, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I get it.
We know that Disney is a little bit crazy. So I'm sure that they have all these same sorts of things. Which makes Ravensburger's job very difficult. Or really easy.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I guess with such an ongoing project that Lorcana is, when Lorcana came out, they talked about how they had a 10-year licensing deal with Disney. And with such an ongoing relationship, it just seems like it would be really time consuming to have to approve all of the artwork. Well, and that's another thing. It's like you have to approve all of the artwork, which is a lot of artwork, a lot of brand new artwork.
It's very interesting. Then, I never think about approving the artwork because
maybe they don't. But I feel like they would kind of have to, right?
But I don't feel like that's where the in-depth issue is,
Right. Well, yeah. Like I really want to know how much Disney imposes their like family-friendly branding onto like any aspect of this game. It's pretty easy to conceive of like a board game, like a Disney branded board game where they're like, "Hey, we have this board game that we'd really like it to be Disney branded. Here are the rules to the board game." They fall completely in line with Disney's, image, right? And those rules aren't likely to change for that board game. But, with Lorcana, they just introduced Whispers, which are partial Disney characters whose story has not yet been completed or something like that, and that's why the boost mechanic exists. Was there a person at Disney who approved the boost mechanic?
Right? I don't know.
So it's difficult to know how much Disney influences the game. It is a fact that they influence the game.
Yeah.
Right? And going back to what you said, how much of that is good and how much of that is bad? Like, how much of their influence has a positive effect on the game and how much of it has a negative effect on the game?
Yeah. I mean, and again, I don't know that negative is where I'm at.
Sure.
I think that it's limiting. You know, I'm thinking about, like, we've got Floodborne characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are they diametrically opposed to, like, do we have villains who are heroes or heroes who are villains? Like, I feel like that's the sort of thing that Disney doesn't allow.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's not in the classic cartoons, there are not a whole lot of nuanced villains.
Right.
Jafar and Ursula, they're very villainous.
Yeah.
That's their deal.
Yeah.
And it's only recently that we have started gaining antagonists as opposed to villains.
Sure.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it does ask a question, which is, it's what limitations does Ravensburger have on the design of their cards? But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because I think limitations on creative works does lead to some very excellent designs.
Well, yeah, perhaps the limitations are, like, why Whispers came in. They're like,
sure.
Like, we have to have a new direction to go in that fits within Disney's limitations. How about Whispers, which are the same characters that are just not done yet?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, that is being creative within a limited sphere.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the criticisms of the game when it first came out, after the first couple sets, was there were so many different versions of the same character, and people were really excited to get brand new characters. But I think that that's kind of genius on Ravensburger's part, and having the ability, and not even like the narrative ability, but like the gameplay ability of having different characters on different cards in different colors, not only allows them a lot of equity when it comes to printing cards, because they're like, hey, we're going to print 800 cards a year for at least a decade. There's not 800 characters that we can do, and so they definitely allowed themselves a lot of breathing room with that. But like shift lines, like shift characters, the existence of Floodborns necessitate the existence of multiple different characters to be played for them to play on top of. And so I think it's really clever that they were able to do that, and it also allows them to flesh out certain personality traits of each character that is in keeping with the Disney branding, as opposed to having to go into like Floodborn what if scenarios for each of these characters,
right,
or leaning more into like the Lorcana specific characters, like the Lorcana brand new characters, right, which we've seen them do, but very sparingly. Mm-hmm. I think you brought up a good one, kind of the best one, and I think the one that differentiates this game from other card games.
Well, and this is something that we have long wanted to talk about, but didn't know in what context to talk about it.
It's true.
And I think that it fits in nicely here.
It's a good spot.
Yeah. It's songs. That is a card type that is really possible because it's a Disney game.
Yeah, like I could conceive of a card game that uses the same mechanic as songs, and justifies it in whatever way, but whatever justification you have for it, in a different context, I think is going to sound a little contrived. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't feel contrived.
No.
And in Lorcana. It seems like it fits really,
It
really
fits
well.
perfectly, and it allows for the singer type, which makes so much sense. You know, you get the, and then flip side, you get like the characters who can't sing, like Ariel, who had her voice taken away. What is
Yeah,
this?
or
This
the
is
mime,
amazing. The
or the
mime.
mime from Tangled. Yeah, I do wonder. It's so funny that there are two cards in the game that can't sing, and it's so flavorful,
It's
right? It's so
yes.
flavorful, and it's like, but at the same time, you're looking at that and you're like, oh, this card's just not good enough. Like this card is not a good enough card to play with this
Well,
restriction.
this kind of pulls us back to the looking at things as a player versus looking at it as like enjoying Disney
Yeah,
Lorcana. Like those
yeah,
are the cards that I see and I'm like, oh my god, I love it. That's hilarious. But then I'm like,
that's
oh,
hilarious.
I don't want to play
I'm
that.
never, ever playing this card.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it would make sense, like if she was better, if she was like a more heavily played card,
Yeah,
or something.
like you can't give something a just a downside and expect it to be
Right, yeah.
played.
She
What
has
is
to
her
do
thing?
something. I was just looking it up. I don't know. I don't know. She like nope, it's nothing. She's a 4-cost 3/4 that quests for 2. And she can't sing. And her flavor text is ... which is perfect.
All right,
also.
see, yeah, that's
Like
perfect.
I mean, that's really great. That's perfect. Characters who can't sing songs is a miss for me, gameplay wise. It is very good, flavor wise, but songs are a 10 out of 10. Like
I'm gonna give them a 9 out of 10
Okay,
because
tell me where that point is.
they
Or did
caused
you just
me
want to be
some
the 10th dentist?
problems where I start to sing the songs. You know, I draw
Yeah.
Strength of a Raging Fire, and I'm like, let's get down to business.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
yeah.
I'm like, no, it's okay. I'm not singing Strength of the Rage. I am singing Strength of the Rage. That's just a different part of the song.
Damn. Yeah. I think there are certain songs that get me more than others,
That's the one that gets me horribly, and it is played
there are
so much.
there are two that get me really bad. I don't know that I have quite the same issue, but it definitely pops into my head. But it's and then along came Zeus, and he hurled his thunderbolt. And I think it's because of the way that the muses sing both of those lines that it's such a it tickles my brain. It scratches my brain in such a way that I have to say it. I have to sing it in my head.
Yeah. Well, see,
Yeah,
you should give
that's a
it a
good
9
point.
out of 10 also.
That's a good point. Well, and there's also like maybe I will give it a 9 out of 10 because if we're talking about gameplay, which I think we mostly do, songs are a very interesting mechanic because it is very difficult to, from a game design perspective, it's very difficult to balance cards that don't cost anything. Like the fact that songs are free a certain percentage of the time makes it very difficult to balance them, because if you just miss like with Ariel, Spectacular Singer, and A Whole New World, if you just miss that interaction, and I don't know that they did, but you have a lot of singer 5s, and if you miss like, oh, we really didn't think that this 5-cost song would be able to be played before turn 5, then you open yourself up to some harsh gameplay. And just having something for free is super powerful. Like basically any card in the game, if it was 0 cost, it's gonna be busted. Like there's not a lot of 0 cost things that are not going to immediately be played.
Well, and that's what precipitated the bans, like that wasn't what was banned, but it was that time we got the bell that sacrifice a item, play her for free. And then we got the what a Donald
got a Donald that you can tap
4 items which
items to play for free. And then a Tamatoa that whenever it quests, you play an item for free. Like, for free is the play for free, I think, is the second best triplet of words behind draw a card.
Yeah.
Like, it is just, it's so powerful, and you really have to be careful when you're designing a card or designing a mechanic, a whole central mechanic around being able to play something for free at the cost of tapping one of your characters. Like, so it's very difficult to have a core game mechanic based around a free resource. Like, you have a game that has resources that you have to spend in order to play your cards, and then a core mechanic of that game is not spending those resources on a particular set of those cards. And so it's like, think about how many non-song actions have existed in the metagame, and how backbreaking they would be if they were actually songs.
Oh.
Like,
yeah.
Because there's no reason why they're not. You know, Brawl was not a song, and it was heavily played in every single Ruby deck. And there is no reason why they could not have just put that effect on a different card that has song lyrics instead of a generic term. But the fact that it's a Disney game, the fact that we need songs and we constantly need new songs, informs the card decisions and also opens up, you know, this whole new archetype, like you said, with all the singers. You have Amber and now Ruby that enhance a core game mechanic. And for a really long time, Amber Steel's singers, Amber Steel's song was a dominant tier 1 strategy because it was able to cheat on the resources. And it's very, very powerful when the cards are worth it. And you brought up the fact that, like, could villains have, like, a redemption arc type of thing in Lorcana?
Right.
Like, is that allowed by Disney? Could we see, like, a hero Jafar?
Right.
As, like, a Floodborn?
Okay, well, and now, because I am apparently entirely Disneyified, I have been rewatching Once Upon a Time, which is...
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
And there are all kinds of villain hero arcs, redemption arcs in Once Upon a Time. So I guess that means Disney would allow it.
Yeah, I guess I always thought of Once Upon a Time. I mean, they introduced Elsa, so I think that probably... But I always thought of Once Upon a Time as, like, less Disney, but more fairy tales. But I guess it just explicitly is Disney, isn't it?
I think it is because, like, a lot of the time they're using, like, straight up the outfits from Disney movies. Like, for instance, when they introduced Elsa and Anna, those were just straight up the same outfits.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's interesting. So Disney clearly is okay with that happening.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that fits I wonder if that fits the branding of Lorcana.
Well, and so now I'm sitting here like, but the difference might be that Once Upon a Time is entirely narrative based. Like, they can show them earn the redemption.
Yeah.
Can Lorcana really do that?
I think it would have to be what the set is about.
Yeah.
I could definitely...
Which would be pretty fun.
Yeah, I could see a set being called, like, Jafar's Redemption.
Why did that suddenly feel less fun? Maybe just because it's Jafar. I'm done with Jafar.
Or, you know, like, whatever. Or it could be, like, the Redemption... Or Redemption of Ursula.
See? That's much better.
There you go. Yeah.
Love me some Ursula.
I think... Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe other characters lend to that type of thing more than others. Like, I could totally see Hades being a good guy, or at least not a villain. You know, like Hades
stole a baby to kill it.
Yeah, but I'm talking about, like, from actual
Oh,
mythology,
sure.
Hades is actually a pretty chill guy.
Yeah.
You know, like, and Zeus is kind of the jerk.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the question that I have, though, kind of flipping it. Would Disney allow their heroes to be villains?
Yeah, it's both is so hard to call.
I think it would be far more likely to have a floodborn Hades that is a good guy than to have a floodborn Zeus that is a bad guy. I think just inherently it is so much easier to accept that the villains could be good than the heroes could be bad.
Well, and it's interesting also because we're talking about Floodborn. Those are alternate realities. So like it really doesn't say that their Gaston was a good
Sure.
guy. It says that in this alternate reality, Gaston was a good guy.
Yeah, I
And
just think, like if you're Disney and you're looking at your branding, like people already like villains,
right.
you know? And if you dislike villains, then that's also okay. But kind of universally, you want everybody to like your heroes, or at least your protagonists.
It is
And I think it would be difficult I think it would be far less likely to put into a scenario where it's just like, oh yeah, Aladdin is just actually a thief, and he's a murderer. Like, I don't know that you would.
Yeah.
I don't know that
No,
if I were Disney, I
you're
would want
right.
to present that at
Putting
all.
it in these very specific terms, like generally I was like, nah, it'll be okay. But in those very specific terms, I'm like, ooh, yeah, I can Aladdin as a bad guy feels like
Wrong. Yeah,
yeah,
it doesn't.
I'm not okay with that. I mean,
Yeah, like and it's that feeling that I think Disney wants to stay as far away as possible from that feeling. Because you could see a good guy Hades and be like, oh yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Like I wonder what that universe is like. But if you see a bad guy Aladdin or a bad guy Hercules, like you're like, oh, I don't feel good about that. Even that would be cool. I would freaking love that.
I'm like picturing
I think it'd be super.
oh, well, how they do that is that they're doing it in the side games where
Yeah,
the villain has control over them.
well, but you think about it, kind of what we were talking about before, where it's like, Apple products not being in the hands of villains, right? I think in like Ursula or Jafar, and technically the entire game, these are not the actual characters. These are just glimmers of the actual characters, whatever. But like Ursula actually like hypnotized them, like mind controlled them.
Yeah.
And I think that is acceptable, because that even happens in actual Disney movies. Removing the agency from the character is very different, I think, because it's like, oh no, they're not themselves, and it's drama, and that's not their character. And so I think that that's very different than actually printing, Hercules, son of Hades,
It's like
or something like that.
Jafar using Genie against Aladdin.
Right. You're like, no, don't do it.
And
And
he's
he's
like,
like, I'm sorry, I'm a prisoner. I
Yeah.
have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you don't ascribe their actions to their character.
Yeah.
But if the character themselves were a bad guy, that would be different.
But it is interesting thinking of these side games. I don't know how we refer to them.
I don't know.
It shows that Disney does have that little bit of flexibility there. Like they are not like hard lines on.
I know. Yeah.
I agreed with your point that they don't have their own agency there. So that's probably
that's
the creativity within the limitations.
Right. So I think, yeah, I would be very surprised if we see either of those options. I think it would be we would be far more likely to see good versions of villainous characters.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a very interesting line to go down.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call something right now. I think the big bad of one of these sets is going to be a Lorcana villain.
Ooh.
I think they're going to introduce a Lorcana villain to be like kind of the 4-set arc villain. And the villains need to team up with the heroes in order to defeat the Lorcana villain.
Wow, that could be pretty...
And I'm not talking about Baker.
Right. Although...
Maybe. Unless... I'm calling that. I'm calling that right now. That's my prediction for one of these blocks, one of these 4-set blocks.
Okay, all right.
And you're gonna get like flavor text from Hades or Jafar, from Hades, where it's gonna be like, I don't like you, but we're teaming up for now.
Or it's gonna be, you can't trust me, but you need me.
Or you can't trust me, but neither can I, or something like that. Like, I wouldn't trust me if I were you, or something, So it's still like in their character, but also it's like when the season 1 villain comes back to help defeat the season 2 villain.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I love that trope. Yeah. That's my favorite trope. And like maybe Ursula comes back with the trident, and Jafar comes back with the crown. Like, oh god, okay, give them their weapons. They gotta be at full power for this.
Yeah. Ooh. Shivers.
I like it. All right. Well, unfortunately, I don't know if we're gonna get any of these answers. I don't know that we'll ever know. I think we'll always just suspect.
Yeah.
How much Disney influences this game.
And we might come up with other ways that we suspect.
Sure.
But
maybe we should tweet those.
Like, oh, this is Disney. I see Disney's hand in this.
Disney's at it again. Yeah. All right. I'm going to go.
Yeah, it's done time.
It is done time. Good talk, though.
Yeah.
We should do this again.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. I'm going to stop my recording now.
Okay, me too.